You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
Welcome back to Miles from Main Street. We're talking about our favorite Walt Disney resorts.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's a wild ride in the wilderness.
When industry travels, all is changed.
That is right, Stuart. We are talking favorite resorts. Are you ready for this?
I am ready. Are you ready?
I am, but before we can get into it, please like and subscribe to the show and your podcast app or on YouTube, and be sure to share it with your friends and family. Remember, new episodes are every Tuesday, and on Fridays, find the Disney Dash, a short form podcast with my daughter Mia, where she is talking Disney from A to Z from a kid's perspective. Stuart, I just want to mention one more time, I was on the Idiot's Guide to Imagineering, which came out yesterday on their feed. So go check them out. It was a great time talking with them. We took 30 minutes, 3 10-minute segments, and created a new ride with a non-Disney IP. It was a ton of fun.
That's awesome. That link's in the show notes, right? Right.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I didn't do that this past week. I'm going to have to go update that.
Or just put it in this week's episode.
I will put it in this week's for sure.
For sure.
Yes.
And so, forgive me, but this is going out on YouTube, right?
Yes, our show goes on YouTube.
Perfect.
Idiot's Guide does not, though.
Okay, Idiot's Guide does not. But if you're on the YouTube and you do like to comment, like my friend Daniel Butcher, you should do so. So, and you can provide context for that, so we know what you're talking about. That would be super swell.
We do love to hear from our fans and listeners, so
yes.
Please definitely give us a comment there. If you're not watching on YouTube, that is quite all right. Use the show notes. You can send us a text, or you can also just comment on Facebook and Instagram, because we are there and we love to talk to people.
And we are trying. The show got a refresh, and we're trying to do some. So we got some new things coming up. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and give us your comments.
Yeah, let's chat about our refresh for a little bit.
Okay.
Things will be still changing a little bit. And we're just trying to keep it light and chatty right now and move it along and be consistent. Mm-hmm. Something that the show has had trouble doing in the past is consistency, and we want to definitely do that. So
let's be honest, it's a podcast, and podcasts inherently have a problem with consistency because believe it or not, this is not our day job. and it's hard, sometimes it's hard to make that, to get the show done, right? To get it out and get it recorded.
Yes, it is a difficult thing to keep up with. But with all things that I try to do them well and at least some sort of level of
competency.
Goodness. Yeah.
But again, the fact that we got the show out and we've been consistent is a pat on our back, sir. I mean, it really, really is. It really is.
Yeah. Okay, so Disney resorts. I have stayed at a few, but
I have stayed at less than a few.
Stuart, you've had a different path with Disney, and that's okay.
Yes.
We will get you in the bubble.
Well, okay. We could talk about the Disney bubble because while I have not stayed at many on property on property resorts. The cruise ship is kind of amazing, and I sort of count it as a resort. So I have a cruise, and that's, like I said, amazing. So that's a Disney bubble, and I'm sure I will tell my story about Castaway Cay at some point in time in the Disney bubble conversation. But resorts. I've stayed at. I'm gonna just barrel right into this. I've stayed at Port Orleans. Port Orleans, not Riverside, but the other one. I forget the name of it. French. No, it was Riverside then. It wasn't French Quarter because I had to walk to French Quarter to get the beignets because, of course, you're getting beignets.
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. But Riverside was fantastic. Was absolutely amazing. And we got the Princess Suite where they had the little light up on the headboards, and my littles were very little at the point, and they went to sleep, and then the things went over their head. And it was absolutely amazing. And Tiana welcomed us, and yes, I absolutely love staying on property if I get the chance to. But my the family bought a timeshare a billion years ago, and we've also stayed there a lot. So,
and when you've got accommodations like that, that are basically free, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't you? I mean,
yes, absolutely. But you get there and you're like, but I can't. I have to drive to the park. I have to figure out parking.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, that's horrible.
You mean to get to Magic Kingdom, I have to take a boat or the monorail? Like, why can't I just walk over there?
Right.
Yeah. The staying at a resort has been that's just what we do. That's just what we do. I did stay off property, but that was when I was visiting my sister. It wasn't really that I was going to Disney, right? So it's something that we just do because, as I said, you got to be in the bubble, and I want to be in that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So we've stayed at many resorts. We now have that bucket list of staying at each one. It's going to be difficult to get to all of them. And I'll tell you what, I'm not interested in staying at the Grand Floridian, but I will be doing that at some point.
The Grand Floridian.
We're supposed to be talking favorite, and here I am talking about Grand Floridian.
So, what is your favorite resort?
My favorite is got to be the Contemporary.
Why do you? Okay, so what about the Contemporary makes it your favorite?
Okay, so here's the thing. Up until a year ago, it was always the Polynesian. Always love the Polynesian. Can't wait to stay there. I stayed there. I had the infamous, quote unquote, famous, whatever you want to say, room where John Lennon supposedly stayed and signed the death nail coffin thing of the Beatles.
Is there a plaque or something that says it in the room?
No. They have. I've done some research into this. They have actually talked to the nanny that was with John Lennon on that trip, and she said she doesn't remember the room number itself, but she's certain that it was not that room.
Oh.
So, but Disney will claim it's that room. They have given tours to people and claimed it to be that room. So there is that piece of it. I don't know how much I believe of it because the person that stayed in the room says it wasn't that room.
But let's be honest. I'm sure Disney can pull up records and be like, well, John Lennon stayed in room 9928. And this is 9928.
It's actually 1601. But yeah, I mean, we stayed there. It's a wonderful location. I could walk out of, if there weren't all the vegetation out the patio, I could have walked right out onto that green space, that fake grass green space that they do all their activities on. Could have walked right out to that. Like it's like right there. That's the closest room to that space. So it was wonderful. I could get up, walk over to the quick service Captain Cook's, and pick up breakfast and bring it back for everybody, because why eat over there when we're right there and we can have it in our room? And that was great, but it's a busy resort.
It is.
While there were a lot of great things. It was great to be able to go sit on the beach, but still I had to plan an hour ahead of time to be down on the beach sitting there because it's so busy. I guess the feel of it didn't jive with what I expected, and maybe that's why the expectation wasn't quite there. Now that's not to say that I didn't love staying there. I did love it. I enjoyed staying there. It was terrific. But we stayed at the Contemporary, and I do need to stay there again because it was during the COVID reopening. So it was less than a year after they had reopened, and we got a garden view room, and we were looking out at Bay Lake. And I think I told this last week even, that I was able to sit in our room and watch the electrical water pageant from there. It was amazing. And the pool was right there. We could still walk right over to the pool, no problem. And from what I've heard, the tower can get busy with the elevator, especially when Magic Kingdom closes and it gets to be difficult to get up that elevator to your 14th floor room or whatever it might be. But the feel of the Contemporary, the time we had there, I mean, everything was perfect about it. Sitting by the pool at night, staring up at the tower, enjoying the weather. It was just awesome. It was so nice it was relaxing. And I think it just fit our family a little bit better. And we've been looking at buying DVC, and we did a tour at Bay Lake Tower, and oh my, that place was amazing. But the Poly Tower is now open, and from everything I've seen, it is incredible as well. So I can't wait to get in there either.
So the Polynesian Tower is open. I didn't know that they had finished constructing it. So
yeah, it opened just before Christmas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So both of those resorts and Grand Floridian are on the monorail, and that's part of what makes them so busy, right? Is that they're basically walking distance from
Magic
the Magic Kingdom or the parks in general, and I mean it's to the point now where if you don't they have gate entry there too? So if you scan your Magic Band at the terminal for the monorail at Polynesian, you're basically in the park at that point.
No, I think what you're confusing there is they do have security before the monorail.
Oh, maybe it's security.
Yeah, so you do have to go through security before you can get onto the monorail, which can be kind of a pain when you're just taking a monorail cruise from resort to resort. But otherwise, it's nice that you can do it there. The line isn't as long, and then you get over to the park and you just go right in. You don't have to worry about it when you get over there. But yeah, they're busy. We went over to the Riviera, another great resort that I can't wait to stay at. And we had a meal there. We had a dinner at the Primo Piada, which is the quick service there.
Oh, nice.
That might be the best quick service on property.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was awesome. They
Cool.
brought,
What I mean, what's the food? What's the fare?
well, it's a French Riviera theme at that hotel. They had a burger. They had pasta. I'm trying to remember what my wife had. I think she had a salad of some sort that was just amazing. I just got a burger. This was when I was getting over COVID, so I couldn't taste anything. So I wasn't really buying any or getting anything that was, gonna tantalize my palate, as they might say. But
Right.
but my daughter got pasta and she loved it.
Mhm.
And they brought the food right to our table. It was busy in there, but still quiet. And the atmosphere was nice. Walking around the resort, some people might say that it's a little fancy or too fancy, and that's kind of what I think of when I go to the Grand Floridian. I didn't feel that way at the Riviera. I didn't feel like it was too fancy there or stuck up or anything like that. I enjoyed walking around. We went into the gift shop there, and it was typical gift shop. It was a nice place, a different type of layout than you might have in a Disney resort, which I thought was kind of neat. Yeah, I want to get up to that top floor and try out. Is that Topolino's up there? I think that's Topolino's. Yeah, because it's Topolino's that I get them confused sometimes. Grand Destino has the Dahlia Bar and something else. I can't remember the name. But the Riviera has Topolino's at the top, which I've heard is amazing too.
Yeah. That resort though is not on the monorail, so it's busing to the parks and stuff.
It is on the Skyliner though, which
yeah, the Skyliner is
equally as fun and terrific. I don't know that it makes it more busy. The hub is on the far end of Caribbean Beach.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Disney Ditch podcast with Jim Hill and Len Testa, because they just did a series of 3 or 4 episodes where they went over the history of the Riviera Resort. Go check that out. It was so good. Like, he dives way deep into the history of these things.
That's cool.
Stories. It was really good.
That's cool.
So, but anyway, yeah, the Skyliner's hub, like where Epcot and Hollywood Studios comes in, that is off in a distance away from the Riviera. There is a stop at the Riviera, but most people are moving to that hub. So you don't get the craziness that you might get from people stopping on the monorail.
Mm-hmm. It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Go ahead.
It's just, yeah. So, I mean, the Skyliner goes mostly to, the value of art of animation and pop century. So you don't have the craziness that you might have with the monorail. And maybe it has something to do with the Magic Kingdom being there and the popularity of those resorts, being as well known as they are versus the Riviera, which is brand new.
Right. And so is Grand Destino, right? Because that's new too.
That's the tower at the Coronado Springs Resort. And that one is, I've heard many people, again, I stayed at Coronado for my honeymoon, and I have been over there a couple of times. I have not gotten into the tower yet though. But that tower is looked at as a deluxe resort, but at a moderate price, which is really cool. And they have really great views all around of the I think you can see 3 different resorts: Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, and Epcot from there.
That's cool.
So you can see fireworks, you can see Fantasmic, you can see what's that Epcot show? Luminous.
Yeah. Is that the one that took over for
Harmonious?
Which we don't count. What was the one before Harmonious that everybody loved? Illuminations? No.
Yeah, Illuminations. Which, if you remember, this was pointed out the other day, Illuminations ended and Epcot Forever was put in as a placeholder. It actually had a longer run than Harmonious, which Epcot Forever was the placeholder for Harmonious.
Right.
You know, it's funny that.
Yeah, let's so sidebar. I actually saw somebody live broadcast Harmonious, and I didn't hate it, but
I never got to see it in person, but I loved it. I thought it was a great show. Yeah. The problem with it is that it was created for the 3-story party deck that they were going to put between the lagoon and Spaceship Earth, and when that got axed, then they knew that the show was kind of doomed, because they were banking on people going up onto that deck as a, I don't know, extra ticket that you would have to pay, and professing how wonderful the show is from up there. But once you took those, because the beauty of Illuminations is that you could stand anywhere around the lagoon and see it and get the whole show. That one, you either had to be on the America side or on the Spaceship Earth side to really see the full show because of the screens that were involved, right? So now we're back to that Illumination setup where it's all the way around. It's just, I have not seen the full show. The time that I saw it, it was raining, so they did not shoot the fireworks. So it was just water I was shooting around out in the lagoon, and it wasn't good. And the music was more on par on what they offer in Happily Ever After, the Harmonious music. And I thought that was better done than what we're getting with Luminous. So
yeah, the thing about Disney though is they're always reinventing and re-examining things. Even to bring back to the resorts, they're adding new resorts. They're taking the resorts that they have and not rebuilding them, but refurbishing them and making sure they have nice beds and all of that stuff, right? The stuff that you need. One thing I was a travel agent for a while, and one of the selling things that they try to help give you is that they actually go out and find very high quality mattresses for all of the resorts, including the value ones. So the mattresses alone are worth the price of admission for staying at a resort. Even, like I said, even the value ones, even Art of Animation or what's the Pop Century is the one that's on the Skyline, right?
Yeah.
Every now and again I'll get a bug like, oh, I wonder how much to fly there and to stay at Pop and to get on the Skyliner. Like that's the weekend getaway trip, is to stay at Pop Century and 36 hours, you're there, you're gone, right? But it's not, we've never actually pulled the trigger on it. But it is definitely worth it to stay on property, in my opinion, whether you're staying at something like Pop Century or Riverside, or if you can contemporary, right? Because it's definitely worth it to stay inside that Disney bubble where you are, catered to, I guess sounds bad, but you're part of that experience. You want, it's not just that they clean your rooms. They make stuffed animals out of towels in your room. I mean, the level of customer service in the resorts is far and away better than anything else in Orlando.
Yeah, and I'm a big character guy. I like to visit with the characters. Staying at Polynesian, Moana makes a regular appearance there every day, so it's really cool to be able to say hello to her. Like all of the deluxe resorts have some sort of character meal going on, so you can go and say hello, or you can at least see from afar if you're not actually eating there, right? And the Moana thing was kind of nice, but they do have a character bus that will randomly stop at a resort, and the characters, it could be anybody, they'll come and hang out in the lobby for a little while. So when we were staying at French Quarter, we went over in the morning. I forget where we were headed, but it wasn't a park day, and Donald and Daisy were there. They had driven, the bus had pulled up, Donald, Daisy comes out, and they're doing it more Disneyland style, where they're not going to stop and let a line form. They're just roaming around, and you can get your signature, you can get your picture. You just have to ask them like a normal person would. And,
a normal person. Wait a second.
And it was a blast. My daughter was trying to get her book signed and had to chase him down to get it signed, but it was fun doing that and watching her struggle a little bit, and he was having fun with it. He also took a kid by the hand and started walking him over to the checkers board and kicked some of the checker pieces around and then blamed it on the kid for making a mess. And it was hilarious. He started fighting with his character attendant because she was blaming him, and he's going, "No, it was the kid. It wasn't me."
Donald!
Yeah.
We do better, Donald.
I mean, these are the things you get staying on property, right? You don't have to rely on a shuttle that leaves once a day and picks up once a day. You don't have to, there's a bus coming every 20 minutes at these resorts. And if you don't like that, pick up a lift, or if you're wanting to splurge, pick up a minivan. Like,
the minivans are so cute, and
they're awesome. They're huge inside, and they're playing Disney cartoons in the car. Wherever you're seating, you can watch Mickey. When we got in the car, I've been in one once, and when we got in the car, they were playing the newer Mickey Mouse shorts, and she said, "I can turn on whatever you want." I said, "No, this is fine," because I didn't know what else I'd want to turn on. But she could basically turn on whatever we wanted to watch.
Yeah, the Disney bubble is real, and staying on property is the key to it. Because when you don't stay on property, you're out of that Disney bubble. You're not involved. You're not inside of it, and that's absolutely true. We stayed even at the Hilton next to Disney Springs, like I said, because I had a bunch of Hilton points, right? So we stayed there one time, and it was okay. I mean, we had to walk over to Springs or whatever, and then catch whatever we were getting to wherever we were going. But you're still not quite there. I'd be interested to stay at the Swan and Dolphin to see how the Disney bubble is there, because those are Disney resorts managed by someone else, or some other resorts managed by Disney.
They're Hilton resorts run by Hilton. But like the buses will go there. You get a little bit more amenities because it's within property. But like the restaurants are are not Disney restaurants. They're run by somebody else. Not to say that they're not good,
Right.
but you know,
Right.
it's like you're in the bubble, but not. You're kind of like on the edge of it, maybe.
Yeah, the bubble shrink past you and then gets a little bit,
Yeah. The character bus isn't stopping there, but
No.
like a Disney bus will go there. I believe one of the friendship boats will stop there. I mean, it is in between Hollywood Studios and Epcot, so you are having part of that bubble, but they do charge a resort fee. They're not Disney. You might get a cheaper rate, but once you get that resort fee in there, it's basically going to be better to be in a Disney resort.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Once you start balance, so when we decided to do this trip to Port Orleans, this was 8 or 10 years ago, right? So when we decided to do the trip, we balanced everything and we looked at like, okay, could we stay, at the Motel 6 down the road, right? Or could we stay at a nicer place, but off property and get a better, once you started balancing all of that, and then at that time they had food credits, right? So they threw in, typically you don't get any of those food credits unless you stay at one of the Disney resorts. So, and even sometimes the tickets are cheaper. So you really need to get in touch with the travel agent and work with them on it, because that's really where they start making their money on it. But you start balancing all of that, it's like, why not stay there? Plus when you're not staying on property and you have to wade through the sea of humanity to get to the parking lot, that's really sad. It is really, really sad. You're like, I could have just gotten a bus and ridden the monorail, but now I have to walk.
Well, I mean, sometimes getting on those buses can be a pain as well, like literally painful, because you have to walk a ways to get to it, and then you have to wait for it, and then you think, thank God the bus is here, and you get on the bus and it's so packed that you have to stand on the bus.
Yes, true. But then you get back to your room, and it's the softest mattress you've ever been in.
They're so comfortable, and I sleep so good when I'm there.
Right.
Yeah, you can find those mattresses. People have done the research. I have not looked into it myself, so I can't.
Oh yeah, no.
But people have done the research for the mattresses, the pillows. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of their pillows, but I know people are. They are. I kind of like a firm mattress or a firm pillow, and so theirs are not as hard as I like it to be. So, I whatever. I don't need their pillows, but people go after them, and
yeah, I mean,
great that's happening.
You don't get the H2O shampoo though if you don't stay on property. That's for sure.
Well, you don't get the H2O shampoo anymore anyway, so
no. But so the rest in peace. Yeah, the amenities that at the end of the day, Disney is nothing if not a customer service people. They take care of their guests. You are guests when you are there, and you are invited into someone's house, and they're going to take care of you. And that goes from walking down Main Street and then picking up garbage to making sure your room is nice and tidy, before you get there. And, it really is that bubble. It really is that, taking care of yourself. So I know we're kind of like waxing poetic about it, and we keep saying the same thing over and over again, but seriously, if you're thinking about going, really consider staying on property and staying at some of the resorts. And they're not nearly as expensive as you might think they are. Not saying they're cheap.
So we did talk about at the top of the show that this was going to be our favorite resorts, right?
Right.
I haven't heard from you what your favorite resort is yet.
Okay, so let me say it this way. The bucket list resort, the one I want to stay at the most, if I had, here's a check, you can go, 7 days, you're going to get to stay wherever you want, would probably be the Contemporary, because I love the design of it. I love the idea. It's silly, but I love the idea that the monorail goes through the hotel, right?
Oh, it's not silly. It's awesome.
It's awesome, right? And I love the idea. I know it's debunked. I know it is not accurate, but I love the idea that somebody somewhere thought the rooms came out and they refurbished them and they went back in. I love the design of that. It's such it's not contemporary anymore, but when it was built in the 70s, it absolutely was futuristic, and it fit right in with Tomorrowland and all of that. And it is the only hotel that is walking distance from Magic Kingdom. It's the only resort that's...
You can actually walk the entire loop from Polynesian all the way around to the Magic Kingdom now.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
It's
how many of us are going to do that?
I know. It's a long It
but,
is.
So I prefaced all this by saying I've only stayed at one resort, and that was Port Orleans Riverside. But when I was a really tiny child, my dad took us to the Disneyland Hotel back when it was I remember seeing Batman at the drive-in, so this must have been 89, right? So they hadn't done all the refurbishments and all that sort of stuff. There was no California Adventure or anything like that. That was really cool because you could just walk to the park, So the idea of being able to get out of bed and walk over and not have to ride a monorail or anything like that is intriguing. So I would stay at the Contemporary in a heartbeat. Let me think. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I really liked the theming around Port Orleans. I've been to New Orleans. It's one heck of a place. And, Port Orleans captures that. Riverside captures that. French Quarter captures that. I love eating at the...
Oh, come on.
I'm bad at restaurant names. Whatever the restaurant that's in there, that's a great place to eat. And then you got Yeehaw Bob.
You're talking the River Roost. No, that's the lounge.
Yeah, I mean, Saskatoon's is the restaurant, and Yeehaw Bob is it? What is it?
So Yeehaw Bob is in the River Roost Lounge, which is over at Riverside. The Boat Rights is a sit-down restaurant.
Boat Rights. That's what I was thinking of.
Okay. Sasagula Floatworks is the quick service at French Quarter, which they don't have a sit-down at French Quarter because it's just so small.
And then the beignets at French Quarter. So I would have to say, honestly, Port Orleans is a really, and it's one of those deluxes that's priced as a moderate, right? At least that's what they kind of advertise it as. So I always would throw that in there when I would price out places for people, because it's a nice resort. It really is.
It is. So. And it has the best boat ride. If you're going to go to Disney Springs, hop on that darn boat.
Oh, yeah.
I just love that boat. Best boat ride.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's the best boat ride. And there's no line for it either.
Yeah.
Plus, they do a whole bunch of, every resort does. They do a whole bunch of non-park day things, right? They'll show movies. They've got yoga in the quad or whatever. You could rent bikes, you could go fishing, you could do all of these extra amenity things that just adds to the ambiance of the place. And again, you're not going to get that at Motel 6. Now, you can make the argument, like, why do I need any of that if I'm just going to be in the parks? Again, the idea for Walt Disney World is that you're there for a week, 7 days, right? You're not going to...
You need to take a pool day, at least one pool day.
Right.
If not two. When we go, it's 4 park days, 3 off days.
Mm-hmm.
It's either to play in the resorts or play in the pool is what we're doing, or Disney Springs. And then those other days we're in the parks. So,
and you need that downtime, or else you get, tired and cranky, and it kind of loses that luster and loses that magic. And so it's good to have these things of like, okay, we're gonna go play in the pool, and then we're gonna watch the movie that they're showing, and then there's a craft thing, and all of that sort of stuff. The resort that I really want to go to that we didn't mention is Aulani. I would go to Aulani in, again, a heartbeat. But let's be honest, I'd go to Disney in a heartbeat right now. In fact, I'm just gonna go see it.
It's so cold here.
It really is.
We're in the middle of that. Well, I mean, it's cold here. The low this morning was -15. I'm in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's what it was here too.
Yeah, it was -2 on my car when I was driving home. And it's snowing in Florida.
Yeah. Can't shovel sunshine, but guess what?
You get snow.
You're getting snow right now, so there you go. It is so cold right now, and so the last time it was this cold, I called my travel agent and it was like, I need to be on a cruise. And then I went on the cruise, which I feel like is a floating resort. And everything that we've talked about. So when I was on the cruise, I had this realization that the Imagineers got to take everything they learned from the resorts and everything they've learned from years of doing this with, the Walt Disney World Company, and shrink it down and condense it and make it on a boat and float it around, the Caribbean, right? Mm-hmm. It's all of that stuff that we've been talking about plussed up, right? So you never have to think about anything. You're hungry, you go eat. If you're don't want to get out of bed, you call someone and they bring you food. It's so. You want coffee in the morning? You write it on a little thing, you put it on your door, there's coffee in the morning. I mean, it's such, every step they're taking care of you, and they're making it, an amazing time for the patrons. Again, is it free? No. But when you can start comparing it to other cruise lines and other vacation time, vacation places, it's very reasonable, and you don't get, you're not getting nickel and dimed as much. You're still some of those microtransactions that annoy people, but you're not getting things tacked on, beverage fees or whatever. So again, talk to your travel agent. Go on a cruise. You need to go on a cruise.
I need to go on a cruise. I have shied away from it for many years. Why do I need to get on water when I've got Orlando and Disney World sitting right there? But watching the videos on the Treasure has kind of solidified it for me that I need to start trying to cruise.
So cruising, I don't know if it's a kid thing, right? I mean, your kids are old enough now to where they would probably dig it. when we went, our two oldest kind of were bored with it. The youngest was great because he could just go to the Oceaneers Club and just be gone all day long. The two older ones were a little bit like, what are we doing? Yeah, there's clubs and whatever, but if they're antisocial or, get worried about meeting new people, that's difficult. We loved it because there's nowhere for anyone to go. Like they're confined to a boat.
Yeah.
And they can watch movies or there's live theater and all of that stuff. So then here's my story about the Disney bubble. So we're on the Dream, and the day before Castaway Cay is kind of yucky on the ocean. It's overcast. It's kind of blah, whatever. We wake up and the boat is doing this like flippy U-turn thing to sort of back end itself into the pier. And you get off and you walk to walk around and you get to the beach and I was sitting there on the beach, and it struck me that the Disney bubble is actually real over Castaway Cay because the sun was out. It wasn't super hot. It was a perfect day. And I'm sitting there on the beach, and off in the distance, I see this cruise ship, just picturesque as all pictures can be. And so I'll show you pictures of that someday. Cause that's like the Disney bubble is real. It's just over Castaway Cay. It's not over Florida. But now you get to go to Lighthouse, right? So that'd be cool too.
Yeah. No, that's something that I definitely need to do, and I love to hear that the bubble is real.
Yeah,
so,
really is. That was the thought I had. I was like, the Disney bubble is real because, like I said, the day before was kind of overcast and choppy, and everybody's like, "Oh, I don't know. If we go to Castaway Cay, it's not going to be very nice." And then we get there, and it's this it's like they painted a day. they planned a day, and it was perfect. So.
Right. So I feel the need to add one last thing. And, at the beginning, I said that I've never stayed off property and gone to Disney at the same time. I've always stayed on property, but that's not totally true. When I went to Disneyland, we stayed off property. Now that is much easier to do at Disneyland because of the size of Disneyland, the location of Disneyland, basically everything that's going on there. So the hotel we stayed at had a wonderful shuttle that left every 15 minutes. And whether you were at the park or it literally was a 10-minute drive. So they were able to pick up and leave every 15 minutes, and it was clockwork, and it was perfect. But I'd get on that bus, and I knew I was leaving the bubble, and I could feel the pixie dust trailing away from me and getting away as we would drive back to the hotel we were staying at. Wonderful hotel. I believe that was also a Hilton, if I remember correctly. I have no complaints about the hotel. The room was terrific. But yeah, that just not getting to stay within the bubble 24/7. That was jarring to me. And it did take away, because when I came back, you can go back to the podcast of my trip report. I said it felt like Disneyland light, or Disney World light. And I think not staying on property had something to do with that. And so I would love to stay at the Disneyland Hotel.
So what's really interesting, and we're getting short on time, so definitely, cut me off if you need to. When Walt created Disneyland, right? He ran into a lot of the Anaheim City Council thing, and then he ended up just buying them and pushing his way through. But it still wasn't sort of the resort he had envisioned, or at least the resort he had envisioned came out of his dealings in Anaheim. And so part of what he had to do was basically buy up all of the surrounding property of Disneyland so that there wouldn't be flea motels, so that people could stay at nice places when they came to visit his park, right? And so that was part of the reason he created Walt Disney World, which was, what is it, 47 acres? Is that what it is?
Oh gosh,
No.
it's much more.
It's
The
47
campground alone is 750 acres.
Okay, so it's this huge amount of space. It's San Francisco, right?
Bigger than the island of Manhattan.
Okay. It's a huge amount of space, and very little of it is actually used, right? For that.
Only 25% of the land is developed.
Right.
Yes.
See, this is why I love talking to you, Brian, because you know all the numbers, and I don't remember the numbers.
I do the best I can.
So Walt was like, I want people to be inside of that bubble. I
Right.
want people to be inside of the space, and I want them to feel like they're being taken care of. And that's happening. And so I'm all for, like I said, I'm all for staying on property. You should stay on property.
The oddest
You miss it.
experience that I had at Disneyland was standing in Batu, or Galaxy's Edge,
Mhm.
and hearing a police car going by. I was like, oh, darn it.
Have you ever read Sam Genoway's book, The Disneyland Story?
I haven't.
That's a great book. You should read that.
I have Walt Disneyland. I was reading that, trying to read that, complete that before I got there. I didn't quite finish it, but
Which one's that one?
it's been a couple of years now, but it's more of a Disney approved book. But it was written kind of talking about how Walt created it, but also treated it and worked in it.
Mhm.
So there's some interesting stories in there about different parts of the park and where he would visit most, and that there was an orange juice store or stand or whatever, and he would go down there every day and make himself a glass of orange juice before the park opened. And I think it was Sunkist was the sponsor of that. And the guy that ran the place got wind of that he was doing this, so he gave him his own juicer and would put the oranges there in the morning for him, so he could just make it right in his apartment. And he said he wasn't doing that. He was still going down to the store and making it. And he said it's much better made there than in my apartment. And that's just one of the stories that I got out of that book. So yeah,
Yes.
good stuff. But
Good stuff.
this was another great episode. Favorite resorts. It turned more into a sales pitch, I think, but
Yeah, I mean it did, but it's not. And I apologize if we sound pushy, and I'm not pushy. I want everyone to experience the warm blanket that, especially today, that is the world bubble, right? I want everyone to experience that. Because I think this is going to sound bad. I think it's life-changing. I think you get in there and you start to have people take care of you, and you're like, oh, the world doesn't suck. Sorry. Did we lose our rating or whatever?
No.
So, but yeah.
Melissa Pilgrim is our choice for your next Disney vacation. You can reach her at amagicalpilgrimage@gmail.com. We thank her for her support.
Sorry, I was trying to find a good spot for that, and I kind of cut you off, so I apologize.
That's fine. That's fine.
But thank you to everyone watching and listening. Remember, episodes are every Tuesday, and you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. As a bonus, leave us a comment, and we will read it on the show. Or better yet, find the link to the text in the show notes.
Yes.
So that you can text us, and we'll read that on the show. So, Stuart, as we like to say, some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it. We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.